It's Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist. I'm Hudson Hot, Scotty Blaisdell, my partner, Alan Wagner, our therapist. Do you guys know what lucky girl syndrome is? Because I know you both are big TikTokers.
Do you know I've never been on TikTok?
Have you
The, o-
really?
the only TikTok I've ever seen is if it gets shared on YouTube, sometime. And I'll see the little TikTok thing at the end. I'm like, oh, okay.
TikTok. Alan?
No idea.
No idea.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok.
We got to talk about this TikTok trend. It's apparently changing a lot of lives and it's making people feel very confident. It's called lucky girl syndrome. And girls are sitting in their car and they're like, everything always works out for me. Meanwhile, I'll be sitting in my car eating a fry off the floor. It's all about manifestation and willing it into reality. Have you ever felt like that's happened to either of you?
Well, first of all, you're saying what you said about yourself, but I think you've always felt like you were the lucky girl. Because
Ow.
even back when we did the show together, you were always, if she would open up a Snapple lid, it would say you won something.
It's true.
Uh, she went to Vegas, it would work out. And then she was always, you got to just be positive and things will happen. So is this kind of, is this it? What do they call that? That was that book that was very popular?
What is the name of that book?
I think The
It's all about
Secret. Is it called
The
manifestation.
Secret.
The Secret?
The
Yeah.
The
secret.
Secret. That's it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. That is it. Is it a real thing or is it something that I would love to know the psychology behind it because like you said, Scotty, I have lived my entire life like that and it's worked out for me when I do manifest.
What is that? Because I'm a realist and I tend to look at this could happen or that could happen. A lot of times I'm preparing myself for the worst, hoping for the best in certain situations. Other times I'm more faithful and hopeful. But does your attitude affect at all the reality if you can't control what's going to happen to you?
Look, I think people get confused on manifestation, and I think I hear it all the time. And I do think as a therapist, we have to manifest the outcomes that we want to see. But we can't escape from the work we have to do to make them happen. So I think if a person is just walking blindly in a fog with no manifestation, then nothing good will ever happen to them. But if they can see what they want to see, whether it's in their relationships or in their personal lives, professional lives, then there's steps to making that happen. And like you were saying on the gambling, it's like it wouldn't happen if Hudson didn't go to Vegas, and do the slot. I mean, the money doesn't just magically happen. And so I think we live in a world where people expect things to happen sort of magically to them and that they're going to get picked. And as a therapist, I've never seen it that way. I see it as you have to decide what you want, but you have to make those moves.
So you have to put yourself out there, is what you're saying. Because I think a lot of times if we're just sitting around, and it is that entitlement syndrome where people just sit around and expect things to happen for them because they're entitled to happen for it to happen. You watch an ad on TV and it's like you deserve this. Get the sleep you deserve. Get the car you deserve. I'm like,
It's true, but you do have to put the work in. I mean, look, to be like, honestly, I manifested, I wanted to work in Los Angeles, which you know, and I know. But I worked really hard to get there and I put the work in. Same thing. Scotty, you wanted abs. Okay. No, this is like you wanted abs. You really wanted them and you have them. You put the work in. So I think there's something like Alan is saying that aside from manifesting it, you actually have to physically, you have to put the work in. It's not just going to magically happen.
If you're just thinking staying home, it's just going to happen and you're going to be married to a billionaire or you're going to be on a yacht. It doesn't work like that. And that's just my feeling. I know there's people listening to this that are going to disagree and believe in magical thinking. But as a therapist, I believe in and I'm sure you do too. It's just you got to be pragmatic and concrete, prepare for the worst, make sure that you have a backup plan. But you got to take the steps and reach for the high fruit. I'm not against reaching for the high fruit, but you got to have a foundation below you. So if you miss it, you land on something. And I think that's the important thing for people is like have dreams, but have a reality mixed with your dreams so that you can do both.
I want to read some of these manifestations that are on TikTok, the lucky girl syndrome. Someone was practicing and studying the law of attraction, and she said she was doing it for 5 years. And after renewing their mindset and their journal practice, they felt that they got a big career shift because of that.
Well, you got to imagine this, and we've talked about it before. If you live an attitude of gratitude in your life, if you really are searching for the things to be thankful for, and you're looking for opportunity, and you believe that you're open to those opportunities, then you're going to see them. If you have your head down, living that life that doesn't look outward, then you're never going to see anything. So I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, I do too. There was also somebody else who said, I asked for direction, I got inspired to move, and I met someone and also got a dream job. So again, these are all things coming from people who are the lucky girl syndrome. Another person created a vision board, and when they were broke and miserable, they filled it all up with designer and luxury items and a nice holiday in Hawaii and a dream partner. And they said they claimed it within a decade and they had all those things and they have them now and they talk about them all the time. That's just one woman.
Well, I mean, look, to what Scotty's saying, I think the more you show positivity and gratitude and pay it forward with the people in your life, the more they're going to do for you and the more opportunities that they're going to provide you personally and professionally. But you got to put yourself out there. You got to have gratitude. You got to engage with people so that they actually can see what you can do and they can respect you. And you will get those promotions and you will get those jobs. But you have to do those things. I agree with Scotty. Putting your head down doesn't really lead to magic.
It's interesting though, because in that example you just gave, that person said it took a decade.
I mean, look, their excuse of a decade, that's their excuse. I mean, I believe in the power and autonomy of human beings. And if you want to make things happen, you want to gamble in Vegas and get lucky, then you'll go to Vegas. If you want to get a better job that makes you feel happier in a different city, you'll move and you'll get that job. But to think that you don't have to change your life to lead to happiness, that it'll just happen to you, I don't agree with that. And I think I've always seen people as very powerful and autonomous. Nothing would take 10 years. I always say it takes 66 times of doing something before it's a habit. You just have to actually do the thing you're supposed to do over and over again until it's you. But if you keep making excuses or you keep thinking something else is going to lead to that, or once I get past this, or, everyone has excuses in life. And that's the 10-year example seems like that. So maybe she did accomplish those things, but I don't think she needed 10 years. That was on her.
It's interesting though, because I think sometimes we will think so far ahead that we think that's the point where I'm going to get the happiness and the fulfillment.
Yep.
It's like, I can't be happy until I get this. If I only had this, I would be happy. And I think you
When
need
that carrot is being hung there and that person wants that, I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the flaw in this lucky girl thing is don't just look at the thing you want, but look at what you have. And I think if you start there, you have a foundation and you can move forward.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. When I look at TikTok, I don't know if but you guys, I see a younger generation and anybody that I talk to in business that has younger people working for them, they want everything right away. They don't want to have to earn anything. They want raises right away. They want, special things, allocations at the job right away. They feel they're above certain tasks that like you and I don't know, maybe the three of us, we were cleaning toilets, we were doing all of that stuff, but there's an entitlement sometimes in this generation, and maybe their parents did that to them to make them feel like they're stars without really earning it because everyone got trophies. But at the same time, it's like you have these entitled 20-something year olds that are probably on TikTok thinking, oh, this will just happen to me. But it doesn't work like that. And you and I as adults know that, their parents know that, and why aren't they teaching them?
I think there's value in starting at the bottom and not getting paid enough to have everything you want. So you have to work harder
Like a
to earn
Nepo
more.
baby. Yeah.
Or change, say this is not the direction I want to go. I need to get education and do something else. And that drives us forward and we appreciate the steps along the way more. And then we don't resent people who have things because you can work hard enough to get those things.
And I think you treat people better. If you're the person who's having to spend 2 hours cleaning out the ice tray of a soda machine thing, or you're mopping up the back, after McDonald's closes, you understand hard work. You understand also how you're going to treat other people who do hard work. And if you worked as a waiter or a waitress or a delivery driver and you understand tipping, then you'll tip because you know what it's like to be humiliated. And I think when people aren't willing to start at the bottom, that they don't understand how to achieve things. It's just given to them. And then you end up with a TikTok trend of called lucky girl syndrome, where people just think, oh, if I just think about it, it'll happen. And it makes me scared for the country to think that, everything luck to me is opportunity, obviously, but it's also what you do with that opportunity. And we all have moments every day to take step one of anything we choose to do. Or we can make excuses and think in the future something's going to happen. It doesn't happen magically. You want to be skinny by summer, you'll work out or not.
Have you ever had a moment where you felt like you manifested something and it happened? Anything big in your life?
Look, I think I manifested living near the ocean, and I am living near the ocean. And it took a lot. It took a move. It took changing career hours. It took a lot of things. And here I am living by the ocean, but it wasn't magic. There was a lot of things that had to happen to live by the ocean. So I did manifest it, but it didn't just like, teleport in Star Trek or something.
Well, I think my marriage is one of those things where I kind of had in mind what it was going to be like when I found the right one. And I had to go through, you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find the prince. That's the old saying.
Mhm.
In this case, the princess. And I don't want to say this like everybody was a test, but it's kind of like that. You kind of test the relationship, and is this person one who is resilient? Does this person have faith? Does this person have, all the things you want? And then that's what I wanted in my heart. So yeah, I manifested that because that's what I ended up with.
It didn't just happen magically with Angie. You dated, like you said, you kissed a lot of frogs to find that princess, and you had to do the work. She didn't just pop into your life. You had to sort of learn from every relationship what you didn't want or what you did so that you could find the person that worked for you.
And,
And you
and
had to
and
go
and
through it.
Alan, if you don't mind, and you're a therapist, so you'll appreciate this. I think I had to learn what I was doing wrong too, and
Yep.
where I was failing, and why I wasn't ready for it early on. I was too immature to handle what I really needed. As a matter of fact, as Hudson knows, I married a single mom, and that was something that was just unimaginable to me. But I got to a point where it wasn't, and then I saw the treasure that I'd found.
Yeah, I know. How many years have you been married now?
In December, it'll be 30.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? It is
Yeah.
crazy. It's wild. But maybe there's a lot of people right now who are struggling with various things, whether it's a job loss or trouble with their marriage, no matter whatever it is. How do we pick them up aside from manifesting? How
Yeah.
do we give them these tools right now to use and to put them in place? How do we motivate that person who is so down on themselves?
When it comes down to it, Hudson, I think that having a therapist to hold you accountable is a good thing, but also being in a position where you understand like that you're not just walking in a fog. You understand what happens on mid-November or mid-December, and you put markers down, just like in college, just like in school, just like at a job, you get fired if you don't do it. We have to all be accountable. And if we do the things that make us accountable, the world will trust us. The world will see us. But when people just wait and they think they're super talented or just something magical is going to happen, there is no magic in life. And I don't, and maybe people who read The Secret are listening to this and saying, Alan, you're crazy. Of course there's magic. Nothing happened overnight for me. To be in private practice and to have the kind of clients that I have, that took years of working horrible jobs, two jobs. That took years of building that practice. Nothing happened with magic. So when I meet therapists sometimes and they think it's just like, oh, look at you, you're in private practice. They don't know how much I suffered. But I manifested the end, which was I want to make my own hours, and I do. And that happened. But it happened because of me and my hard work.
Also appreciated Alan because he is very pragmatic and forward thinking. Even as we started this podcast, it was like, well, let's get it going and let's consider it a job. Let's be
Yeah.
accountable to each other. So, because not every time we turn on these microphones are we all three feeling great about doing a podcast. There's who knows what going on in our minds,
It's
but
true.
Yep.
we push through and do it. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's meh, but we do it. And
Exactly.
I think that's the thing is the thing to learn from Alan. I know there's probably somebody listening who is working two jobs and has kids and hardly sleeps, and they can't really see their way out of that until, maybe the kids are out of the house or something. So they're just kind of keeping their head down. How do they get a vision in the middle of the turmoil and not sacrifice, their family?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is. No, I think it's if you have to move at the speed you can move at, and there's different times in life when you'll be driving 80 miles an hour or 20. And when you have little kids, to drive 80 miles an hour is probably not likely. But you shouldn't be driving zero. You can still drive 20 so that by the time the kids are starting to go to preschool or daycare or whatever, you're not at zero saying, what am I going to do with my life? You're already partially in flow. And that's how I sort of feel about people. It's like stay in flow in your personal life, stay in flow in your professional life, and keep moving forward so that today is different than 3 months ago and is different than it will be 3 months from now. And for people who are listening, I think that's their life. I hear Groundhog Day all the time from clients. But again, I went through 2 jobs with 2 little kids and I was exhausted. I had to work nurses' hours at one job so they could let me off early to do the private practice job. And I did it anyway and until I could be a private practice therapist and not work for those companies. But it took a long time and it exhausted me. And again, I can only take on at that point 2 or 3 clients, but it was better than zero. So by the time I was ready, I had 8 and then 10 and then 15 and then 20. You have to just do the work. That's what I would take from this podcast. If you're listening, do not be a 20-year-old who sits there drinking Starbucks and thinking like, ooh, I'm going to meet the guy or somebody's going to, take me here or I'm going to get promoted at my job. You want to get promoted at your job, work really hard, talk to your, show gratitude for the people above you, make relationships with them and they see you and they will promote you.
So sometimes maybe having a conversation with
Yeah.
your boss and saying, hey, how do I advance in my career here? What can I do in my skill set that makes me more valuable to this company?
Exactly, Scotty. And that's the thing is that the majority of people are expecting the people above them to look down and be like, I'm going to pull Hudson up. I'm going to pull Alan up. I'm going to pull Scotty up. And it's not that they don't love you. And if you were in front of them, they would help you, but they're not thinking about you. You have to make that move. You have to ask for that raise.
You got to take that first step. I thought this was a good episode today
I
because
really liked Alan's 20-mile-an-hour thing because I think some of us, we don't have a lot of time, but what do you do with that time you have?
Yep.
And does it really refresh you just to sit in front and watch videos on YouTube or TV? If goodness gracious, who watches the regular TV anymore? But you're just letting time go. You're letting opportunity slide by just doing meh with your time.
Yep. Agreed.
I know I'm guilty. I'm not being
I'm
critical
so guilty of that too.
I know that about myself. But I also know we live in the greatest country with the greatest opportunities of any place in the world. As much as there's criticism, you also have the opportunity to grow and to move forward. You don't have to stay where you are. You're not forced to stay there.
I love that you said that, Scotty. And as a person who's traveled the world and I've done a lot of traveling, America takes a lot of heat. But if there's one thing that I've learned in other countries is social mobility is a non-starter. That if you start out poor, you stay poor. If you start out rich, you stay rich. And that's how it works in most countries, second and third world. And when you're in a first world country like the United States, you can come over here as an immigrant poor, and within a generation or two, you can be doing amazing things. You could be a multimillionaire. You could have a company. And what other countries in the world have that kind of social mobility or professional mobility? But it's up to those people. There's some people who come here and they, I remember being in New York and those people, the taxi drivers, they were working at these things. They worked 3 jobs and they worked 20 hours a day and they sent money home and they did it, for a visa because it was their manifestation that their whole family would be in America and they made it happen. But it wasn't easy. They took a lot of crap. But at the end of the day, in this country, you take a lot of crap, it will add up, but you can't just do nothing. It's not magic.
So manifest and make it happen. Some good advice today. Thanks again for listening. Hudson Hott, Scotty Blaisdell, Alan Wagner, Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that button right now. All right. Until next time, peace in the chicken grease.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.